Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today, a very special guest, the new head coach of the Wando Warriors, Isaiah Perrin. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I can't complain.
We appreciate your time. We really do. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Perrin was hired in December. He's been on staff at Stratford for the past 3 years. Prior to that, he coached at Wilson, Swansea, Lower Richland, and Timberland. Coach, let's just start there. What's that transition been like going from over at Stratford to now the head man here at Wando?
Oh man, it's been exciting. A little overwhelming at times as well. I guess it's just coming from a coordinator role or coming from a position coach role. There's a lot less that you deal with on a day to day. Now it's more of the setting stuff up for summer workouts, setting up stuff for camps and tours and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more intricate, but I love the work. So and I love dealing with these kids. So it's been great.
Coach, Kevin touched on your resume a little bit briefly in that intro, but if you don't mind, go through your background. How'd you get to this point, and those stops along the way?
All right. So started out, I graduated from Coastal Carolina in 2012, and I decided, I want to go back home. I had my history degree, so I was trying to kind of figure out if I was going to, become a teacher or if I was going to go another route. So I ended up going home, and Coach Craig welcomed me, come back and help out a little bit. And those first 2 years that I was there, we played for a lower state championship against Dillon. So I've always been around great coaches and great mindsets when it comes to football. So that definitely kind of pushed me in the direction of wanting to become a teacher. So after my first 2 years at Timberland, I ended up going back to get my master's degree at USC. And then I took a year to help out at Lower Richland when I was getting my degree. That was one of my, student intern kind of situations there. From there, I started working with Greg Wright at Swansea. I was there for 2 years, and the opportunity arose for me to go to Wilson under Coach Derek Howard for a little bit. So I was there for 3 years as well. And after that, I found my wife. We started dating, and she's from this Mount Pleasant area, so it was like, man, it's time to try to get back closer to home. So I ended up coming to Stratford. Nice. With the help of a couple guys, Brooks Barnett, Mathis Burnett. Those guys were at Stratford, and they helped bring me on there. So I spent the past 3 years there, running back coach, wide receiver coach, OC, all that stuff. And then, opportunity arose for me to be a head man, and, everything fell in place. It just worked out perfectly. So,
Coach, we talked about it a little bit off air, but, you were probably one of the first hires in this cycle here in South Carolina, one of the early guys back in December. Has that helped you out being able to kind of get that staff put together, and how's that staff shaping up? Any kind of holes left there? Or is it all set for you guys now?
So for the most part, I mean, we're pretty set on staff. We're looking for a DB guy right now. Got some other guys that I'm planning on bringing on. Can't announce their names yet, but it's some exciting names. Some people who have some connections to Wando. So we're super excited about that. But I think that has definitely gave me an advantage that, I was able to transition out of Stratford in January and start working at Wando in January. So we've hit the ground running since day one, since I've got there. And you can see the differences in the guys already, what they're doing, the guys that I've brought in already. I've brought in some guys who, coach down in Florida, who coach down in up in Connecticut, like championship coaches. And you can just working with those guys has helped me establish what my culture should be, and just having those guys to lean on has been great. So I'm definitely excited about the future of Wando football.
Coach, you got a background, being the OC. Will you continue to call plays? And also, what is your philosophy on offense? And then as you move into that head coaching role, what do you want to see from your defense?
Okay. So for me, I'm not going to call plays. I'm still going to have my hand in the offense. But, I was able to hire my high school head coach, Art Craig, to help lead that offense. A guy who's won 260 ball games, who's done it on a high level, who's won state championships. And, I know his system and a lot of the stuff that I've done coaching wise has been because of him. So we're on the same page with that. So we'll mix in a couple different things. We'll have a couple different looks. We'll look at some spread RPO stuff, which I did at Stratford for a little bit, but we'll also look at the old school Timberland stuff that we did. with the wing and flex bone type stuff a little bit as well. So we'll be multiple on offense, but we'll find something to hang our hats on. We just want to see what our guys can do, and what puts us in the best position to win. So that's what we're going to focus on. Defensively, I'm keeping my DC, Coach Bell, who's been there for a little while now. I'm a guy that believes firmly in, defense wins championships. So I want to have a defense that moves and is physical and, covers gaps and just, pursuit. I'm just big on, defensive mindset of just hustle, don't quit type of attitude. So we're looking at a couple multiple defenses. I know maybe run a little reduction, 3-4 or a little 4-2-5, stuff like that. But we'll definitely be multiple on that side as well. But I, just thinking about offensively as well, my philosophy is just to stretch the field horizontally and vertically. I want to stretch defense to the point where, they have to cover, 53 and a third yard in the field. So I just want them to have to honor everything that we do. And I think we got some guys in place, especially some young guys in place that I think that's going to help us out in the long run, especially like our 9th grade class.
Coach, I got to ask you, from your background, is your offensive line correct? Where does that stretch in the field come from? Was it your years being a receivers coach and running backs coach, or how are you? Most of the time we hear former O-line coaches, they're trying to run the football.
Hey, man, I credit that to Coach Derek Howard, man, being at Wilson. Howard is one of those guys that wants to spread that ball around, man, and I learned a lot of great stuff being under him. Also, when I worked for Coach Daryl Page at Lower Richland, we had a dynamic offense passing the ball. I worked with some guys like Tamir Zimmerman, who's the head coach at Heathwood now. So that mindset kind of changed me, man. I was a, downhill flex bone guy when I was with Coach Craig for all those years. And then, getting with some of these spread guys is kind of, I like that. So it kind of changed my attitude a little bit. So I like to be multiple, though, man. I like to be a 50-50 guy. I just don't want defense to key on what we're doing. And I think that, I pride myself on, that's how we call plays at Stratford. Every time that I talked to anybody like defensive coordinators, they were like, man, you guys are so hard to game plan against because we didn't know what you were going to do. And, that's how you win ball games, and that's how you become successful. So I'm excited about that.
You mentioned some, great names across the state with Coach Page and, and Coach Craig and then Coach Howard, and now what Tamir's doing at Heathwood. Obviously, I'm sure you kind of learn from each one of those guys as you went along with your stops, but maybe who are some guys at the college level or even the pro level you like to watch and pick up things from kind of week in, week out? Or is it more just you learn from your experience, guys you've worked with throughout your career?
So, I was a Saints fan. I'm still a Saints fan. And under Sean Payton, man, when I was coming up, I was big in the screen game. I love some of the stuff that he did. And I just thought the world of him. And I like to emulate screens and stuff like that. Some of the stuff that I find on Sundays, some of the stuff that the Dolphins are doing with emotions and stuff like that. You can see some of the stuff that we did at Stratford, this past year. So I try to emulate great offenses. Anytime I see something unique and innovative, I try to do those things, man. Because I'm a guy that wants to study the game and I want to stay ahead of the chain. So anything that I can get an advantage from, even high school level, college level, anything like that, man. This past weekend I went down to clinic at Carolina and talked to Sean Elliott for a little while about some of the stuff that he did. And I think, that some of the stuff that he talked about, what he was doing at Georgia State, we're definitely going to run at Wando. So I'm excited about that. And then Coach Abel at Davidson, he does a lot of flex bone stuff with the inside zone. And I told Craig when I got back, I said, Coach, we got to go to Davidson. He's doing some great stuff. He's scoring a lot of points and keeping his defense off the field. That's what we want. So we're going to have to go up there and try to check out, see some of the stuff that they're doing. But, man, anytime I see somebody doing something innovative, I try to, go in depth and study it and try to use it to my advantage.
And talking to Coach Elliott and, Coach Sarah Davidson, looks like your offensive linemen are going to be happy listening to this, that you're going to run the football. Going back to your roots. I like that. So being a coordinator, the natural progression, obviously that next step is to assume a head coaching role. What steps did you take, in preparation for this over the last few years over at Stratford? And how did you know that you were ready to assume that challenge?
I'll start off with that second question first. You never know you're ready because, I'm going to be honest. Talking to Coach McDaniel, he's the one that really kind of pushed me to be like, it's your time. Like, when I hired you, I knew you weren't going to be here for long. You had that mindset, you work, you put in the effort, you try to be innovative and all those things, and your mindset is that of a head coach already. You just haven't found that right job. And he said, when this job opened, he said, you're the perfect guy. You already live right down the street. You don't have to cross that bridge every day, go across 526. Your drive is going to cut down on you. So, I applied for it. And, I think the natural progression is, always being a student of the game. When I was at Timberland, I took a backseat role. I was a assistant offensive line coach. I wasn't that guy. I wasn't even the guy. And I think that, I learned a lot under Rick Taylor, who's at Philip Simmons, who coached for Coach Craig. And then, working under Coach Craig and that mindset and playing for him at the same time, how he established culture. That was the biggest thing for us at Timberland. It was the culture. It wasn't the X's and O's. It just was established that we are just going to out tough you guys. We're going to be physical. We have this mindset that we can't be beat. And I've kind of brought that same mentality to Wando. And I think at the same time, I've been preparing I knew this is what I want to do from day one. When I started coaching, I was like, yes, I want to be a head coach. So I always try to be around people that, had that mentality. I worked for guys like Coach Ken Floyd, who's at AC Flora. I mean, like most of the guys that I work for have transitioned to that next level. And it's just like, it felt like a natural progression. Like, I work for this guy. I know what they've done. They've created. I'll take a little bit from them. And I work for this next guy. I'll take a little bit from them. And, that work ethic has just honestly paid off to put me in this position today.
I know we talked earlier, Coach, about how you were able to get, on campus in January, get hired in December, and I'm sure it helped getting the staff, but also how much that helped getting your weight program installated early on, and also kind of, just getting to meet your kids and put a face with name, and kind of, build that culture you talked about.
I think that was really big for me. Even besides the weight room, what we did, I think that first month of January, we went out and had a middle school signing day. So I was able to go and hit all 4 of the middle schools, show my face, go hang out with those guys, get to know those guys. We ended up signing like 75 rising ninth graders. And I think that ninth grade, like I said earlier, that ninth grade group that I have, they're going to be pretty special. And I'm excited about that. So I think it's beyond the weight room. It's just building those relationships. Every day now, those guys, at first they were kind of hesitant. Every day I got guys coming to my class, stopping by, just checking on me. I got guys texting me from the middle school. They're just, Coach, how was your weekend, Coach? And just building those relationships. And I think that has been the biggest thing so far, is, just creating those relationships with those guys. So they trust in me, and then, in return, I can get the most out of them and push them to their limit. So I'm excited about that.
Coach, we talked a little bit about your staff. We talked about the X's and O's a little bit, but football is one on the field. The Jimmies and Joes, the players, are the most important ingredient to this whole thing. Who are some special guys that we should be on the lookout for, that you have coming back from last year's squad? And who are maybe some sleepers that we should be
prepared? So for me, one of the big guys that, I think is one of the leaders of our team is Brock Feinberg. If you check his Twitter, he's constantly doing stuff outside. He has that mentality that he wants to be great. He wants to get to that next level, and I think he's going to help raise that team expectation. We have Braden Berry, plays linebacker right beside him. Smart kid, physical kid. He's been in the weight room every single day, doing what he's supposed to be doing. We got Landon Miller, offensive line, defensive line. He's going to be a great one for us. Kingston Taylor, another offensive line, defensive line guy. Harris Stone is going to be a junior quarterback for us. I think he's going to take that next step. He had a taste of it last year as a sophomore a little bit, and he's putting in the work. He's going to David Moore and doing those things, and he's showing up to workouts and taking care of what he's supposed to be doing as far as wide receiver play and stuff like that, spending extra time. And then we got some young ones. Matt Pays. He's going to be probably one of the guys that I see that may get that chance to go to the next level. He's going to be a junior next year. He's a 6-foot guy, probably play a little hybrid safety or outside linebacker for us, but he can runs like a 4.7, and he's smart. He's a physical guy. He just loves the work, and I'm really excited to see what happens with him in the future. But we just got a lot of pieces coming back, and I'm excited about that, especially on the defensive side. I think we'll be fine on defense. We're just figuring out what we can do on offense. And we got a couple of ninth graders, like I said. You got your Isaiah Brocks, who might start. I'm one of those guys that I believe if you got the talent, I'm not gonna hold you back down on JV. I'm gonna bring you up, man. I want you to get that playing time. Those guys, they're running track and they're coming out after track to come to workouts. And if you're doing that as a ninth grader, kudos to you, man. I know you want to be a ball player, so I'm excited about some of these guys, man.
Hey, it's in the water down there. I mean, we've seen some ninth graders last year down in that area who really showed out for their team. So we don't underestimate those underclassmen.
Yep.
No doubt. I know, Coach, it's kind of late March we're talking right now. Have you been able to put together your spring practice schedule yet? And will you guys be able to have a spring game kind of to wrap that up as well?
Yep. So we're gonna that second week of May we'll start. So we'll start and go 4 days that first week and 4 days that following week, and then our spring game we will have on May 23rd. We got something special planned for our C team guys. My whole goal here is, man, to kind of make it exciting again, make football the it thing on Friday night. So we're gonna do like a signing day for our C team guys, so those 6th and 7th graders, and we're gonna make it like an official visit. We're gonna get those guys the lanyards, and we're gonna do the photo shoots and all that stuff, man. I just come with that mentality. You see the colleges do it, and you got to recruit your guys.
Sure.
That's the big thing right now, man. You got to try to recruit those guys and show them that you plan on changing the culture, and got to keep them wanting to go to Wando. Obviously, one of the biggest 5A schools in the state, and our football program has the possibility to grow and be successful as long as I can keep those guys in place and build together. So we definitely got some fun stuff planned, man. So I'm excited about that.
So immediately after, school ends with spring practice and all that, you roll into 7-on-7 season. Are you big into that? I know you said you like to air it out. So are you big into 7-on-7s and do you have some lined up that you guys plan on attending this summer?
So yeah, we got a couple good things lined up. So I used to be a big 7-on-7 guy.
Okay.
But with us going 11-on-11, we did a couple of those things with when I was at Stratford last year with hand-to-hand. And it was so great. I felt like our kids were so advanced because of it, line play and stuff like that. I think that I'm more of an 11-on-11 guy now. So I'm setting up some stuff. So AC Floors and Timberland's going to come down, and we'll do 11-on-11 with them. But as far as 7-on-7s, I'm going to hit the Charleston Southerns. So they have one on the 12th of June. And then we got a big trip planned Father's Day weekend. So we're planning on going to the DMV area. So at June 14th, we'll go to Liberty, and then we'll tour Virginia Tech that afternoon. Saturday morning, we'll go to Virginia Tech for a 7-on-7 big man camp, and then we'll tour UVA that Saturday, and then that Sunday we have a prospect camp at the University of Maryland. So got some fun stuff planned for those guys, and then that following week we have University of South Carolina. We'll go to that 7-on-7 up there as well.
I know, Coach, you mentioned, getting your kids in front of these universities, which is such a big deal these days. Obviously the COVID year, the transfer portal, it made it so hard for these kids to get recruited, it felt like. So how important is it to build those relationships, get your kids out at the schools and the things that you're doing right now there at Wando?
So that's huge for me. I've gotten to the point that I've even invited some ninth graders, and I think that's probably even more important than anything else, because you want to get those guys seen early. With like you said, the transfer portal, and just trying to put a name with a face early so that these guys can get recruited. I got a rising ninth grader. He's about 6'4", 275 already. Tail Jovic. And he can move. He plays basketball. And I'm like, hey man, I got to get you to come to this camp. I've talked to my guy at Virginia Tech, Pearson Prela, who's from my area. He's from the Alvin St. Stephen area. I say, hey, I'm bringing him to camp. Make sure you talk to this guy, because he's going to be a stud. So I'm setting up those meetings and getting, connection with these college coaches, and all that stuff is important, man, because you want to see your guys get recruited, and those guys that want to go to the next level, I'm going to do everything I can to help those guys get to the next level. I push those grades. That's a big thing for me. I make sure we have, like, every 2 or 3 weeks, we do grade checks with those guys to make sure we're staying on track, just so that they have that chance. Because we know if you don't have the grades, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get that opportunity. Especially with the world, how it is with, transfer portal, stuff like that today. So you got to, that's first and foremost, make sure you have the grades. And then from there, you can go wherever you want to be, just ball out. So I'm excited about that.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Before my next question, I just want to say thank you for that. That's great that, you're focusing not just on the football side of things, but also the academics. That's huge for the development of these young men. But I did want to ask, Kevin touched on it briefly. He talked about, getting there early, changing your culture. What is something that you identified early on that you wanted to, like, really implement your culture, like maybe a specific thing that you wanted to change within the program?
For me, it was just mental and physical toughness. That was the first thing that I wanted to tell these guys. Because, like I said, being at Timberland, you might not have had the greatest athletes across the board. You have a couple, obviously, for the success they've had, but we were mentally and physically tough. And that started in the weight room. And so that's where I laid my hat on from day one, is getting those guys in that weight room and creating that mental, that pressure cooker mentality. Like, every day I'm putting you guys under constant pressure. All right. Either you're going to fold or you're going to turn into a diamond. So, at first it was like pulling teeth a little bit, but the more and more we've done it, the more and more they've locked in and be like, and I started to see my guys hold each other accountable, which has meant the world to me, because now I don't have to lead the stretches anymore. If somebody does something wrong, I'm not the one correcting them. I have a 9th grader right now that's correcting guys. He's stepping up and telling seniors what to do. So I'm like, okay, now we're starting to build something. Now they know my expectation. So I think that, pushing that, and then discipline, that's another thing. So, I tell my guys, if you tie your shoe wrong with me, it's going to be a problem. So let's do the small things right, because those are the things that get you beat. And they've locked in, the simple things, but, standing behind the line in practice. Every time we're stretching, I have a guy yelling out, "Make sure you're behind the line." I don't have to say anything anymore. And it's just that mentality is starting to change. And I really appreciate that.
We got a couple easier ones here for you, Coach. We'll let you go. The first one, so maybe it's an away game, you're on the bus ride, maybe it's a home game in your office. What's bumping on the pregame playlist as you get ready for that Friday night action?
Oh man, I'm such a diverse guy, man. 1 minute I might be listening to some old school rock and roll, man. I might be listening to some Guns N' Roses, AC/DC. The next minute I might be listening to Moneybagg Yo, man.
Come on, let's go.
It's a mix for me, man. So it's just whatever I'm vibing with at the time. It can be anything. I can listen to some old school hip hop, some DMX, just anything to get your blood flowing, man. I'm one of those guys. So I did the same thing in high school, and it's just carried me the long way, man.
You should be prepared for this one, Coach. If you watch any of our interviews, we ask every guest on the show about food. You live in the Low Country. That's the best food region in the state. Sorry, everybody else. It just is. What are some of your favorite restaurants that you like to go to down in that Mount Pleasant, Charleston area?
Oh, man. So I recently found a place. So me and my wife, we were just chilling out this past weekend. We just decided to order some DoorDash, man. And there's this place called Eastside Soul Food. It's downtown Charleston. It's a small little spot. Oh man, it was some of the best soul food. It was so good that we went again 2 days later. So it was great, man. But Mount Pleasant area, I love pages. We
can't flip the page. You got to tell us what was on the plate.
Oh well. So what happened was I ended up spending about $50, man, on just me and my wife. So she ended up ordering shrimp. She ended up ordering some chicken wings. I ended up ordering some okra soup, some chicken wings myself, some fish, piece of cake, some cornbread. Man, hey, I spent so much money, but that night it was gone. It was done. It was so good. Like I told her that this is my Sunday spot. I found my Sunday spot. Man, I love it. I love it. So East Side Soul Food, man, downtown Charleston, is excellent. Page's Okra Grill, something that we always go to, man. It's always
classic.
I'm a soul food, country food guy, man. So I love it. Saltwater Cowboys, Shem Creek, even your home team barbecue, which is right down the road for me, man. So, we eat over here, man.
I love it.
We eat over here, so we eat well. Anything seafood, soul food wise, I'm on it, man. I honestly just tried a Seaweed Outpost. It's a little like gas station going toward McClellanville, Arundel, but they have some of the best burgers, and they have this breakfast sandwich that's so good. Man, it's so good, so much good food over here, man. I just got to try to keep the weight off, man. That's a big thing.
I love it.
Last one here for you, Coach. Kind of a two-part question. Obviously, you grew up low country, went to Timberland, so Wando has had their struggles over the years. You know that, obviously. Mm-hmm. How far do you think this program can go? What's the top level for them, and then also, what are your goals for that 2024 season in particular?
The players are here. They're walking the building, and it's just getting those guys out. So that's been our main focus right now, is just getting some of those guys that are walking the halls, that are athletes, that aren't doing anything right now to play. And I think, honestly, we can be a region contender. I think that, knowing this region is very tough. I coached in it for the past 3 years, and I felt like every single year, anyone could have won that region. All right. Even 2 years ago, Wando, gave us fits. And their defense was top notch. Just couldn't really put it together on offense. But I think that you put the pieces together at Wando, you can make a run at a region championship here. And I think that's something that we can kind of hang our hats on. But I don't want to get too far ahead. My goal is right now is just 1-0. We just got to be focused on being 1-0 each week, 1-0 each day. The soccer steeds, the hand-to-hands, all that stuff is going to come. But let's focus on being 1-0 in the weight room. Let's focus on being 1-0 in the classroom. And then all the other stuff will take care of itself, man. So that's what I firmly believe. But I honestly think that, a few years down the line, this team can, start making some real serious noise, make some deep runs in the playoffs. So I'm excited about that.
Well, this has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Perrin and the Warriors program on Twitter and Facebook. They do a great job posting updates on their kids and highlights. So definitely go check them out on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, etc. at Movin Chains. Website, movingchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Movin The Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach Perrin before we let him go tonight?
First of all, always thank you for your time, sharing your story, your journey. I know Kevin and I, we always talk about this off air. Love doing these new coaches interviews because it's a celebration, to a point like you've achieved something major, in your coaching journey. So excited for the opportunity for you and that program there to get started for this 24 season. We'll be rooting for you guys. We wish you continued success, stay healthy, and just have a really awesome off season and go get them, in August, September.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Hopefully we'll talk again soon, and I have some positive stuff to talk about, continuing building this program. So excited about that.
That sounds great, Coach. We appreciate it. Look forward to getting down to a practice or a game and meeting you in person, and best of luck. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.